Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Living in the West, a series of episodes where we're looking to the lives of those Muslims, minorities living in the West. In previous episodes, we've looked into the reason why we need to discuss this issue of the Muslims living in the West, the importance of this topic. We looked at the permissibility of this band of Muslims living in the West. And then we moved on to speaking about the vision for this community of Muslims. With me, I have Sheikh Al-Haddad from the Muslim Research and Development Foundation from the United Kingdom, an organization and think tank which looks into providing solutions for the Muslims in the West. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, we spoke about the vision of the Muslims living in the West. And we broke down the vision into two levels, a personal level and a community level. We spoke about the personal level, and we started speaking about the community level, especially about the topic of unity. If we can start off on the topic of unity, how important is the topic of unity for this group of Muslims living in the West?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen, Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. As you said, that we have broken down the vision of Muslims in the West into two levels, the personal level and the community level. And in order to have a vision for the Muslims, the community Muslim in any Western country, the Muslim community has to be united. What do we mean by unity for the Muslim community in any Western country? We touched upon the importance of unity as a principle, and we said that unity in its full form takes the form of the Muslims, all of them gathered together under one entity, which is the Khilafah. But of course, this is not our topic now. In the contemporary situation, because Muslims are not united in one country under one state or under one Khalifa, and we have different Muslim countries, and also the Muslims living, there are Muslims living in different Western countries, and those Muslims belong from a political point of view to different entities. Let us speak about Muslims living in any particular Western country. For example, Muslims in America, Muslims in Britain, Muslims in France. Muslims in any of those countries have to have a unified vision, at least. So in order for them to be united, they have to have a unified vision. This is one thing. It is not necessarily to be a detailed unified vision, but a broader vision. That is very important. On the other hand, the Muslim unity, the Muslim community in any of those countries, they should not fight each other. And here I would like to propose a formula for Muslims living in the West with regards to the unity of each community. We have, as Muslims, we have our differences. And sometimes the differences are very major differences, such as, let us speak again, frankly, and this is an academic discussion, that in some countries there are Shia Muslims and there are some Sunni Muslims. But how can they be united? Let us have this formula. The formula says that in terms of the relationship between the Muslim community and the outside community, or in particular the government, the Muslim community, they should look like as one body. This is one thing. When they talk to the government, when they talk to other agencies, they should look like as one body. In the meantime, being one body does not mean that they do not discuss their differences among themselves. But they should not spread these differences, and they should not, as they say in the street language, maybe they should not show their dirty clothes, okay?
They shouldn't wash
outside.
their dirty clothes in the open.
In the
basically.
public,
Yes.
yeah, okay. So, avoiding using this terminology, but these differences between the Muslims should not be discussed openly between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. This is a very important issue. And once we put that in mind, we should put the other most important principle, which is the principle of wala wa bara. Wala wa bara. I know many people would like to avoid talking about this topic, especially in this discourse. Why? Because they feel that it is a very sensitive issue, and this topic is a stigma, a stigma for certain people, and therefore we should avoid talking about it. No.
This topic of unity and enmity, basically, being together on a certain point and being away on a certain point.
Exactly, exactly. We cannot avoid it because it is in the Quran. And as some scholars said, if you read the Quran is focusing on Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, the oneness of God, of the Lord, the oneness of God in terms of the ibadah, to worship Allah Jalla wa Ala alone, and the Tawheed of the names and attributes of Allah Jalla wa Ala. After these three types of Tawheed, the issue of wala wa bara comes. What does wala wa bara means? Means I put my full allegiance to Islam and Muslims, and I should be careful not to work against the interest of the Muslim community. I should not be siding with non-Muslims against the Muslim community. This is bara in its very simplistic form. Again, let me repeat, because this is a very important issue. I should not side with non-Muslims against the interest of the Muslim community, against my community. And by the way, this is a very rational principle, because no one would trust anyone who sides with strangers against his own family.
It's like a fifth column, basically.
Yeah, okay. Because, see, if I have my own family, it is a natural thing to have allegiance, to have more allegiance to my close family. And I may have kind of allegiance to my neighbor, but my close family are more closer to me than my neighbor. And the neighbor living outside, or the neighbor living in the little bit far neighbor, is little bit far for me from my closest neighbor. Therefore, the Muslim community, as a community, they should have a special allegiance among themselves, because they have so many things in common. And the most important thing in common that they have is the principle of Tawheed, the principle of monotheism and ibadah of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So the allegiance to the Muslim community does not negate the principle of citizenship. And many people think that if you are a citizen, a British citizen or an American citizen, you have to have kind of allegiance to the government, even if you have to work against the interest of your Muslim community. And this is not true, because this is haram. Why? Because you are working against the interest of the Muslim community, and the interest of the Muslim community is in line with what Allah Jalla wa Ala revealed.
Okay, I mean, this is a good point to start on then, because opponent to this argument, sometimes we find in the West, would say that, Sheikh Haytham, this is all well, that we have to align with our brethren, our brothers of faith. But they say the greater principle, like you said, is the aligning of the people on Tawheed. So they say, on this principle of Tawheed, on the truth, can we not align with those who we believe are doing or being truthful? If we find our brethren making mistakes and not being truthful, rather shouldn't we be on a general platter, be with the people of truth? So it doesn't matter if that brother is my brother or is my furthest neighbor, but if he's on the truth and my brother is not on the truth and he's making mistakes, shouldn't I make wala with him and bara from my brother?
Okay.
I know this but this is the point that they will come up with.
Okay, no problem. We can discuss that briefly, okay? Although this may take us away from the discussion, but as they are discussing this, we can elaborate on it. See, your brother, if he is making mistakes, but at the end of the day, he is holding on the principle of Tawheed, which is the biggest hasanah, okay? And as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, and many other scholars, and Imam Ahmad as well, said a similar statement, that Nur al-Tawheed, the light of Tawheed, wipes out any dhulma of any ma'asiyah, any darkness of any sin. So, as far as this Muslim brother is establishing Tawheed in its original form, although he or she is committing sins, he should be closer to you than the one who is establishing the Trinity, or Trinity of God, or who is establishing no faith in his heart.
Even if his sins are causing major disruption to the community and the unity of the community?
This, we need to know how to deal with him, okay? How to deal with him. But as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said, as well as other scholars said, that yes, we might hate him because of the ma'siyah that he is committing, but because he is establishing Tawheed, then we have to have a level of love to him. Now, yes, in some odd situations, we have to know how to deal with these individuals. But this is, as I said, is an odd situation. In general, we should have this spirit among the Muslim community. And by the way, without this spirit, we will not have any kind of unity. That's why Allah Jalla wa Ala says, Al-mu'minuna wal-mu'minatu ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. Illa taf'aluhu. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala said, Illa taf'aluhu. If you don't do this, means if you don't establish that Al-mu'minuna wal-mu'minatu ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. They are allegiance, or they are having allegiance towards each other. In the Quran, Al-mu'minu, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Al-mu'minu akhu al-mu'min, or al-muslimu akhu al-muslim, innama al-mu'minuna ikhwa. Believers are nothing but brothers. And Allah Jalla wa Ala in the Quran as well warned us in many verses from siding with non-Muslims against the interest of the Muslim community. And that's why Allah Jalla wa Ala says, وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّهُمْ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. Means the one who is siding with them against the interest of the Muslim community, he is actually part of them. That's why some scholars said that if someone is working against the interest of the Muslim community and for the interest of the non-Muslim community, then he is on danger of kufr. We don't want to get into this topic. This is a very delicate topic, and it might need a detailed discussion. And as we always say, that some of these topics, to contextualize these topics, we need researches carried out by fiqh councils.
Okay, we're going to take a break on this topic of unity and return in a couple of minutes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Living in the West. Sheikh, just before the break, we spoke about the issue of unity, and you spoke about the very important issue of having unity and enmity, wala wala bara, how to implement this. Could you give us a roundup of your thoughts on this?
So, as we discussed, that the Muslim community, they should have kind of allegiance among themselves. Okay? This is the basic wala that they should establish among themselves.
And this is the highest level?
Yes. Okay. No, this is the basic. The basic,
okay,
that they should have kind of allegiance towards each other. Someone might say, yes, they have some problems, there are some differences. That's why the formula that we are suggesting here, yes, these problems you need to discuss it among yourselves. Okay? That's why in some circumstances, let me give this example. Some brothers in some universities, you know, they have prayer halls. And they said that the Shia community, they would like to propose to the university that they would like to have their own separate prayer hall. And we will have our own separate prayer hall. And also they would like to have a different society called Ahl al-Bayt society, different from the Islamic society. And they said, what do you think of this? Okay. I said, no. You should have one body, which is the Islamic society. And then within the Islamic society, you can have Ahl al-Bayt society and the other society. Why? Because talking to the university authorities, you have to look like one body. You won't be able to get your rights if you are divided like this. For example, if you would like to have lahm halal in the cafeterias or in the restaurants, university or colleges,
halal meat,
okay, in university restaurants or college restaurants, if you march towards that, okay, and you are limited in number, they might not give it to you. But if you have a big number marching and demanding this, then they will give it to you. And if we start this, for example, having Ahl al-Bayt society and the Islamic society, then later on the Islamic society, because we have differences among us as Muslims, they might have different divisions. And they might say, well, listen, we don't want to have one society. Let us have the Sufi society, for example, and the Ahl Sunnah society or the other society. And then more divisions will start to take place. We should not allow this in general. Once we talk to the authorities, we have to have one body talking to them. And the representatives of Muslims should endorse all these different segments. In between the Muslim community, yes, let us discuss things and let us debate on things. And that's why, see, Allah Jalla wa Ala says in the Quran, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You are the best of nations ever raised to mankind. You enjoy the good, forbid the evil, and believe in Allah Jalla wa Ala. Allah Jalla wa Ala called us one ummah, but in the meantime, Allah Jalla wa Ala said that we are enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. So enjoining the good and forbidding the evil within the ummah is an essential component of the belief of the ummah as an ummah. And being one ummah doesn't mean that we should live enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. And many people think that we cannot combine between both. Being one ummah, one body, and in the meantime enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. And some people on the other side, they think that once we start enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, means that we are disuniting the community. No.
Well, some people may argue to the different and say, Sheikh, it's not about not being able to implement enjoining the good or forbidding the evil or doing this, but rather where are the boundaries? Because like you say, if somebody believes that a certain core principle of Ahl Sunnah, for example, they totally negate this. How much education do we need to take to these people for them to sit with these people? This is the problem.
Yeah, okay.
This is the contextual problem that we're finding.
Yeah. Now, as we said that in these episodes, we cannot cover every single question. And some of those questions, from a practical point of view, need to be referred to collective ijtihad or the fiqh councils in order to discuss these things. So, but in general, as we said, no single Muslim should work against the interest of his community. And we have seen in some countries, in some Western countries, that there are fringe of Muslims groups who are trying to establish their own organizations that work against the interest of the Muslim community. And of course, in order for them to get credibility, they claim that they are talking the mainstream al-Islam. And it is very interesting to hear that many Western thinkers noticed that every single Muslim group is claiming that it is the mainstream or it represents the mainstream Islam. Apart from that, we should be careful. Ourselves, we should be careful. And we should not be very happy that the non-Muslim community or the non-Muslim society is endorsing us as a group against the Muslim community, because if they are endorsing us against the Muslim community, it doesn't mean that they are endorsing us for a good cause. They are endorsing us not because we are Muslims and we are soft Muslims. No, they are endorsing us first of all to divide the Muslim community, because they know that once the Muslim community is coming together, the Muslim community can achieve. If the Muslim community is divided, the Muslim community won't be able to achieve. This is one thing. And the other thing, that every non-Muslim country, whether Western country or any other non-Muslim country, it has its own agenda. And generally speaking, we cannot say that any non-Muslim country loves Islam. And we have to put that in mind. They have their own agenda. They want to forward their own version of al-Islam. And the version of al-Islam that they would like to put forward is a soft Islam that does not oppose any Western idea or any non-Islamic idea, means tolerates any idea. That's why, for example, recently in Europe, in Britain in particular, the leaked report, proposed or mentioned by The Guardian, it says that the government, the British government, is trying to push for a legislation that any Muslim who believes in the supremacy of Sharia, or any Muslim believes that homosexuality is considered to be a sin, or any Muslim who believes in the principle of Khilafah, he is or he should be labeled as an extremist, and he might be breaching the law because of this belief. This is something very dangerous. And when we were discussing this, somebody told me that in Germany, in some cities in Germany, they have already established this. That's why we say Muslims in general have to remain together, and no one should work with the non-Muslim side against the Muslim side, because ultimately the non-Muslim side has his own agenda, and we know that globally the agenda now is to have a soft version of al-Islam that does not believe in these issues.
Okay, so now we've come to the end of speaking about this allegiance and this enmity. How do we move from this now to going back to the community level in terms of their responsibilities towards the vision, Sheikh?
Okay, so the Muslim community, as a community, now they have to have a vision. The first priority for the Muslim community is to be able to protect the interest of individuals in practicing practicing Islam on an individual, personal level. And you remember that when we were talking about the vision of individuals on a personal level, we said that the priority for each individual is to be able to practice the main pillars of al-Islam on an individual level. Now, the community as a community should work towards protecting the ability of each individual to practice these pillars of al-Islam. This is the highest priority. Now, once we discuss this, we will know that one of the main priorities of any Muslim community and any of those non-Muslim countries is to allow, to have, first of all, masajid for people to manifest this important pillar of Islam, which is as-salah. This is one thing. The other thing is to work hard towards getting the right for Muslims to manifest their religion in the workplace. And this is a very important issue that each Muslim community should work for. Now, in some non-Muslim countries, Muslims are not allowed to pray either on time or to pray in general in the workplace. And it is the responsibility of individuals and communities to work towards getting the right legislation that protect the right of Muslim individuals in practicing their religion in the public sphere and in particular in the workplace.
Okay, so we've got to leave it here, Sheikh Haytham. We've come now to the beginning of looking into the vision for the community there. We've run out of time in this episode of Living in the West. Until next time, I leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.